Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Dual Coast Podcast this morning. Very special episode today where resilience meets some real stories. I'm your host, Dan Skoka, joined by my co-host, always, Russ Rogers, joined by a very special guest this morning, Dwayne Morton. Dwayne, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Dan and Russell. And of course, I want to thank the listeners. I think that's the first thing I always do is just say thank you because they're giving their time. And, time is such a valuable commodity.
Sure. That's it, man.
Totally
yeah.
Agree.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on to Dual Coast. We so appreciate it.
Yes.
And I told you off air, I love the photo behind you, before I grew my hair out. So thanks for putting me back there.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Russ, you think you can even jump the high as the poster? Or?
Well, the problem is getting that separation of the legs now, but that was when I was in my 30s.
Right. I'm up to foul line.
Oh, man. Show up to win. Dwayne Morton with the founder, the CEO, the director. He's got the podcast. You know what? I will say this. You went to Murray State, right?
Yeah, I went a couple of years at Murray State.
Okay. You're not the only one that went there because back in the day here in Cali, I had a gal who was a pitcher, softball pitcher, and I trained her for about 3.5 years. Maybe actually more than that, maybe 4.5 years. So anyway, long story short, she went to this college showcase in Florida. Her family invited me, so we stayed there. Her dad and I slept in the same room, and he had this breathing apparatus that was louder than anything could be. And it's like, and I'm like, I'm supposed to sleep in this room for 3 nights? Anyway, it was a blast. Guess where she went? Yep, that's right. Murray State.
Love it.
So you're not the only one, buddy. So you're the only one, second one that I know that went there. So, that's cool. That's really cool.
So,
how did you end up there?
Man, born and raised in this area. So,
okay.
One of the things when people know about my area, I talk about Murray State all the time, just for the simple fact that if you watch basketball, they're in the NCAA tournament every March, or used to be every March. I believe Coach Miller is going to get them back into that. But, Ja Morant was the number 2 NBA draft pick through here. So a lot of people came through to watch him. Very small school, but it's also the campus is beautiful, man. Like what they've done with the facilities and stuff since I watched them at the old Racer Arena. I mean, it looks like like a really small NBA arena. Like but there's a tradition part to it too. So, but that's really cool. The fact that there's some type of attachment. I'm a real big believer in synchronicity, and you just never know how that happens.
Right.
But that's really cool. And so I'm really glad that she had an experience and she got to see our community. So Murray, Kentucky, and is one of the top small towns in the country. It's actually one of the top retirement communities for people. So, we have lakes to fish and that type of stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't really moved from this area is just because it's home, but also there's a lot of things outdoors that you can do too. So just to kind of, pump up Murray, Kentucky, but like really it's a wonderful community, really great people, very kind. That's the other thing. So like kindness, politeness, those type of things were like really, they were just taught so well to us.
Well, that's what this show is all about. For those people that live in California, and New York City, anybody that wants to get out and move out to a lower cost place that's healthy, that's got fishing, that's got outdoors, lower cost of living, let's go. Let's go right there to Kentucky and hang out with our buddy Dwayne.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about Show Up to Win. Tell us how this all progressed, how this all came about to where you are. Maybe tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've had to overcome to get to where you are right now.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say this because I just like to lead with this to let people know that dreams do come true. When I was 4 years old, I only wanted to play college basketball or past high school. That's it. And throughout that, I learned resilience. I was I was a good player, and then the next year I'd be a bench. And then so through high school, man, I was a bench basketball player. I mean, I was lucky, but what I would do was I would just make the team and then I would get better. Well, my junior year, my grandmother passed away. And so I quit basketball. It was like my very first love, but also like I just didn't see a path, man. I honestly so I quit. And if I had what I would say a regret, I would say that would be the one thing. But what it did was make me free and allow me to do some different things. But it gave me freedom to just love the game again. And lo and behold, I ended up going on a mission trip, playing basketball overseas, come back with an agent, was looking at like becoming a professional basketball player. I hurt my knee. So that's another part of the resilience spark. Not just a regular knee injury. It was like, hey, you've had other knee injuries and it caused some issues. So that would be part one of that resilience. And then I feel like that part helped me when I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer in 2006. And so they originally gave me 5 years. And that's really where Show Up to Win kind of evolved and started to really come into place, was because I would go into things and people would tell me, you should just show up in attendance. Like, just show up, like come in attendance. So Show Up to Win is not about winning basketball games or winning championships. I mean, it's part of it, but really winning to me is showing up with an intention, but being really present for that moment. I think a lot of people miss that so much. So that's really where Show Up to Win kind of started, because what I would do is I kind of had a program that I was doing myself, and it's based on Dwayne's daily plan of attack, which I do now and I share, but it's around gratitude, self-care, movement, and adaptability. And I mean, we can get into that later, but I'm just trying to give an idea. So that's where Show Up to Win really did. And when I found out, so in 2022, I was involved in a police shooting as a bystander, tragic police shooting. Also, I'm a small town person, man, town of 5,000. And I was driving by, a stray bullet hit the truck, and dealing with PTSD and survivor's guilt. And so my purpose was something that I had to try to figure out. And so then on March 8th, 2024, like a little bit over a year and a half, I found out I was misdiagnosed of that blood cancer. And so that was the kickoff to Show Up to Win. And I was like, hey, how can I support others, but how can I build a program where what I was looking for when I was going through my stuff. So that's really the birth of Show Up to Win. And the people, the mentors and all that type stuff, I took parts of other people that helped me to build that program. So like, I know it's really long story, but like there's a lot of little pieces to Show Up to Win. And it's I really think I think it's $1 billion company. It's $1 billion idea. Like, it's like a Live Strong. Just need to get the right people around it and understand that this isn't just about winning games. It's about winning life in general. And as long as when we get punched in the face and you get up, that's winning to me.
For sure.
So give us a little history on this misdiagnosed, right? Like, and I know Dan's in the medical field, but tell us what happened with that. Give us some details on the background of that.
Yeah. So 2006, I woke up just like any other day, and I was getting to work, and I couldn't get up 3 flights of stairs. And just the day before, I ran 2 miles and I played 3 hours of basketball. So it didn't make sense. And so I was thinking, hey, I might be having some heart issue, maybe blood pressure, something pretty simple. I call the doctor. The doctor starts doing some tests, and I get diagnosed with polycythemia. So Dan, as you know, that's where you have too many red blood cells. But where they were concerned and where they labeled it the cancer part was like, they said, we think you have polycythemia vera, which is a cancer. Yeah. But what they said was, we don't want to list it yet. But if you have polycythemia vera, you have 5 years. Like, we think it's that far along, and you just were in such great shape. You were able to it did not have the same type of effect. And so I went to 7 doctors. The 7th doctor is the one that saw that all these things were parallel to COPD and sleep apnea. So I have sleep apnea. So you were talking about the CPAP earlier. I have one of those. And honestly, one of the biggest things for me right now, I'm not going to say challenges, we'll say invitation, a friend of mine says, it's this a challenge, use invitation. My invitation was to get off of that. And so I'm working on my breath and breathing and expanding my lungs because, hey, I don't want to have to carry a CPAP all over the place. But just to kind of give you an idea, that's what happened. As people know who have sleep apnea, that's a really quick turnaround. You go to a sleep center and all these type of things. But for 18 and a half years, I was told, hey, I have this blood cancer. But the symptoms are very similar and very parallel.
Wow.
Mm. So what was the diagnosis then?
I had severe sleep apnea. So my body never went into REM. If it did, it was only for a few minutes a night.
So did they treat you in 2006? Did they treat you for cancer?
So they were treating me for the polycythemia, which, as Dan's familiar with, it's where they give phlebotomies. But most time, people, when they had phlebotomies, they only went so often, or they went like, hey, every month or two. I was going weekly and sometimes 3-4 times a week at the very beginning because my blood count was so high. But also, I would feel so good. I'm like, hey, I want to try to run and try to do all this stuff. And they're like, hey, we can't keep doing this. Yeah. So it was a very much tug of war. Also, my mindset was like, hey, man, I want to go play basketball. Like, it wasn't like, hey, I want to, like, one of the big things, was like Lance Armstrong and people that like that. I was like, hey, I want to be like that. I want to, okay, that's the setback. There's the comeback. I'm coming back to this. And they were like, no, man, you got to start being more sedentary. And so when I started being more content, that's also where my mindset went downhill. And I got depressed and I dealt with anxiety and things that I didn't even know they were foreign things for me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Coming from somebody that was healthy, athletic, living life to its fullest, and then having this gut punch, and then to find out it's not even true.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
How long was this period?
18 and a half years, man. And so there was a period about 6 years before where I had a bone marrow test. And that's really where they should have released me. But when sometimes in the medical community, they put you in a box, man, and they just don't let you out. And that was, it was one of those things, like, I don't think anybody did anything maliciously. It was just like, it was a mistake. And I believe in grace. So I extend grace to that period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh.
That's unbelievable, man.
Wow. So with all the treatment and everything, did it? I know you bounced back and all that, but did you have any repercussions from it at all?
The repercussions of the blood part, man, was like, it could be like later on where they're like, hey, but right now, as far as I'm concerned, it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Like, if you believe in miracles, we have a miracle every day. I'm breathing, like my heart beating right now. That's a miracle to me. So, like, no matter if it's big or small, like, God sees miracles the same. It's just a miracle. And so I look at it from, it's out of sight, out of mind. And like, I'm a healthy person at this time. Like right now I'm dealing with a kidney stone and I'm dealing with it the same way. I'm like thinking, hey, I have like my kidneys are healthy and that type of thing. Same thing. I have a fragmented foot right now. I'm waiting to find out. So whenever I do another x-ray, I'm hoping that they don't find anything. It healed itself. It's really interesting how we sidestep medical miracles, and also the fact that we can manifest miracles also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Very interesting. Dwayne, so it sounds like Show Up to Win is not just a brand, it's a mindset, right? It's your mindset and everything, right?
Mindset and a lifestyle. Yes.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And you've had a lot of, setbacks in the past, with the knee injury, being the bystander to the shooting, the cancer diagnosis. So you kind of turned pain into purpose a little bit here, in my opinion. And do you agree with that?
I do. So when I do speeches around it, I think pain is different. I don't think it just turns into a purpose. I think it's a passport. I have my passport right here. And I think the thing is like, I can get the passport, I can take the picture and do all this stuff. But if I don't leave the country and use it, then I don't utilize it. I actually don't like the word saying use. So I like to stop my words also, but if I don't utilize it, then it's like it doesn't exist. Right. So if I don't go travel around and check out in the other parts of the world, then that's the same thing with that pain. I could have set that pain aside and just said, hey, I'm going to go get a 9-to-5, not worry about helping others. And so I just felt like it was so instilled in me, and it became the purpose, but the purpose was like, hey, I can do this and I don't have to either. That's
Yes.
the other flip point of, I think some people forget that, like, I don't have to do this, but I choose because I'm a free agent. I have free will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So with your mindset and your resilience, how are you taking those kinds of things and impacting people's lives?
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm building right now is this community. I've been building it for a while, and I want to make sure that it doesn't have to be perfect, but I
Mhm.
wanted it to be like, hey, this is what I was looking for. And so what I want to do is just get on Zoom and have a group of people come and me coach them for an hour and then also do one-on-one. But what I do is I find out what's important to them. People always talk about what's your why. Well, okay, what if they don't know their why? What if
Mhm.
they absolutely are and that's where I was. I had someone tell me that, like, when I first found out I was misdiagnosed, they were like, what makes you happy? I don't know. Like, I truly did not know outside of certain things that I was pulling from the past and like, hey, I like to eat steak. Okay. Like, steak makes you happy. Like, what can you do, man, when you get stuck in a box and people forget about you?
Yeah.
Like, you forget about yourself, but also your value changes. Like, not your true value, but your value to yourself, like, it changes because you're going through all these different things and people change. And that was the other aspect is, so one of the big decisions that I made in the past was I wasn't going to get married or have kids because I
Okay.
didn't want them to carry the burden. But guess what? Now I found out I was misdiagnosed. I was like, oh man, like I should have dated. I mean, could have
Dwayne's
had a partner.
available. Dwayne's available, everybody.
Yeah. but Russ, that's the thing, man, is like I'm not really available right now because I'm still building myself
He's
up.
not
I mean,
available.
no, but that's what I'm saying is like, yes, I am available, but I'm also in that point where I also am finding out my true value. And that's where, with these people that have been diagnosed with cancer and diagnosed with different things, like, dude, when a doctor comes tell you that kind of stuff, that's like it's a life sentence to some
Yeah.
people. It's very traumatic. And so we have to build off of that. And we also have to give them some type of mindset, some type of routine to just be able to say, hey, I choose to be healed.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Amazing. Dwayne, when you had this life altering moment like that, when you had the cancer diagnosis and this, injury to your knee, and it was semi career ending, we'll say, was there like this defining moment to you where you said, like, I'm not going to let this break me? Like, this whole thing, I'm not going to let this break me. And like, what did you do in order to get that mindset to keep going? Because a lot of people will just say, I'm going to let this break me. I can't keep going. I don't really know what to do. And I think that's the whole basis of Show Up to Win, honestly, is kind of the idea behind it. Was there this defining moment to you where like, I got to do this. I'm going to not let this get at me?
So there was a moment where I was like, man, I just want to go be a sports psychologist and just like let all this stuff go. And then I had a conversation with my grandpa. My grandpa, World War II veteran, has one of the highest honors you could have as a deep sea diver. Me and him had a conversation, and my grandpa had back and neck issues, and I knew that, but I didn't know where it came from. And we were just playing cards, and I was talking. I was like, man, I don't get why this happened to me. He was like, dude, he goes, sometimes things just happen, and it just makes life a little bit more difficult, but you just learn how to accept. And he told me a story where he was on a ship or something went down and he had to make a dive. Like, they asked him. Also, the other thing is he's retired, by the way, as they're jogging back to the States. So he doesn't have to take that dive. And when I was talking to him and he was telling me the story, he took this dive, hurricane force winds, this cable broke, hit him in the back, and he was disabled from that moment on. So I was asking him, I was like, man, if you could go back in time, I was like, would you do the dive? And he was like, hell yeah, I would do the dive. He was like, I was the best diver. He's like, no one else like had my credentials. Of course I was going to make that dive. And that's where that page turned for me to realize what was in my DNA. That's when it really said, okay, no matter what I have to face, I'm going to face it face first, but I'm going to use my head. And that's where I felt like a lot of people who try to do stuff like face first and like, hey, I'm going to both feet, in. They don't think about it, have a strategy. I believe you have to have some type of plan. And like, I talk with people who are in business and I tell them all the time, I'm like, you have a plan? They're like, not really. And I'm like, well, first of all, you need a plan, but also if you can find a mentor that can help you create the plan, that's another step. And so that's what I did. I would just find people to help me create plans throughout all these type of things.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
In my life, outside of my parents and the influence they had on me, is my college baseball coach was one who really inspired me. I still use some of his sayings today in life and practices. Outside of your parents, your grandparent, your grandpa, who has influenced you most when it comes to this resilience, this motivation, and aspire to dream and live higher than what you thought you were capable of?
So the dream part and live higher was a basketball coach at Lipscomb University in Nashville. He actually won the Jimmy V Foundation Award. His name's Coach Don Meyer. And so I had a really good shooting camp. And one of the coaches like introduced me to the head coach. He's like, hey, I like this kid. I think he should come play here at Lipscomb. And I was like, man, I'm a bench player. I'm like, they're like asking me for tape. I'm like, dude, I don't even play. Like, I'm being like, I'm also surrounded by really good talent in this area. Like I had like one kid that I grew up playing basketball with. He was a lottery pick. Like he was SEC player of the year. Like, I mean, there's some ballers around here. But Coach Don Meyer told me the Henry Ford quote, but I didn't know it was Henry Ford. I thought he was just saying something to me, but it just had that type of impact. And he said, whether you feel like you can or you can't, you're right. And throughout that time, man, it was just like, okay, I feel like I can play basketball somewhere. And then I just used that mindset to other stuff. And so I would say out of being someone, I seen him for maybe 15 minutes, but he had that type of impact on me.
Like, wow.
Yes.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. Some people could leave that on you, like we just talk to them for a couple of minutes and they just have this lasting impact. It's pretty incredible how that happens.
Yeah. The other person I would say is Eric Thomas, man. Like if you want something as bad as you want to breathe, like that had a major impact on me too. So like he's somebody who, even in the early journey, I got to meet him on a Zoom call and I was just like, wow. Like I just was on a call with Eric Thomas and he was talking to me about things. Like that was the other part with this journey of me when I've been misdiagnosed. I've been around people who I just admire, but I'm like, they might not know my name, but I was in the same circle around them. And then there's people that like I'm around that like, there's a top law of attraction coach, Aaliyah Fredericks, who, she has a million social media followers. A lot of people don't know her, but she's like really good at what she does.
Yeah.
I can talk to her anytime I want. Like there's these other aspects I think people just don't take into consideration. My mindset coach was Laura St. John. Also, she's Olivia Dunn's aunt. Like, but she's she gave Olivia Dunn her mindset. She does mindset coaching. So that's another aspect of it is just, I've been very fortunate to cross paths with the right people, but not just the right people for me and able to learn through them. And those were huge steps. And then, one of my mentors, a really good friend right now is Victoria Rader. And she's one of the top quantum healers in the world. Like she's a possibility coach and she's amazing. And she helps me with shifts of my mindset, but like shifts with my words. If like I don't use the word use, I use the word utilize. And that's just small stuff. But just to give you an idea is like, that's really big things is just the way we say things.
Yeah. Wow. Sometimes it's who, not how, right, Russ?
Yeah.
Who, not how. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Dwayne, you mentioned a couple of times throughout the podcast today that, gratitude and faith kind of come into your daily habits or your daily routines. And that's, not just a belief, that's a practice for you. How do people, when they are not getting out of their situation or their situation hasn't changed yet, how do they rely on those two things? How do they, like, let's say I'm in the, I'm not getting out of that box like you mentioned before and I'm still down and out type of thing. how can people kind of transition to faith or use gratitude in their daily routines to try to pick them up a little bit when they're not seeing much change?
Yeah. So for me, man, was I think I've always had it. I think I didn't instill it. I think I always was grateful for the things. And so I think what people just need to do is put their hand on their heart, man. Is this thing beating? Then yes, then I have a purpose to be here. Can I breathe? I think that's the other aspect. So the other part of it is the suicidal part. I was never suicidal. I was always like, how can I show up for others even though I might not feel good? So when I went to the doctor's office, I was really kind to the receptionist. I was open the doors. I was always wanted my personality of Dwayne to come out and be able to say, hey, this is kicking my ass today, but guess what? I'm not going to allow that part to change me or how I act. So that was one thing I decided, hey, this is something I can do for others. And what I found out was by doing something for others, it made me feel better. And I think that's the other aspect is we have to be mindful to just be grateful. So it's awareness. So it's not just being grateful or faith. It's about being aware. And then there's the other next step is being aware of noticing, hey, like I'm being so present right now. I'm not thinking about seeing my nieces later on this afternoon. I'm thinking about being on this podcast with Russ and Dan and nothing else. Worry about my breath, worry about like the questions. You have to have that type of like want and desire, I feel like, to really step up. And I think there's a lot of people that once they're told that, then they're like, oh, like journaling, like I like to write. Like I think those are things because that brings awareness. And so, but being grateful, man, is like if you're not grateful, I can show you the things to be grateful. And I think that's why a mindset coach, a mentor can really help out in that situation because we allow you to be aware of the things that you're not aware of.
Yeah. 100%.
Powerful said.
Powerful,
So you had mentioned off air that you've had about 100 shows this year when you started your podcast and impacting people's lives. Give us a little bit of insight into your podcast and some of those people that have motivated you and inspired you and the impact that you're making through your podcast.
Yeah, man. So podcast, like it was a way of giving back. Also, like I started it in May. I've hosted my own. I have like 20 episodes out, but we were talking about the 100. So I've guested on about 80 podcasts.
Okay.
But what I realized, if I want to be a host, I need to be a guest. So I know how a guest feels as a host so I can get the best show out of them. The people that I've had on, I spotlight other people with resilience stories. And I wanted to see how other people responded to their stimuli of things. I have people who have been human trafficked. I have people who've been bankrupt. I have people who their value, their worth. I've had people who had like heart conditions. I've not just been on one step of resilience and just like, hey, everyone, it's been different every show. Every show, there's been people with near-death experiences. There's been all kinds of things. And so I'm able to relate because I understand being punched in the mouth and being kicked in the stomach while you're down. But it makes me sit back and be like, hey, I'm not alone either. Yeah. So there's these other aspects that I'm pulling, but I'm putting the best show to give these people an opportunity to be seen and heard in a different way than what the normal podcast is. And I don't do questions either. That's another thing I love about this. We're not doing this off of questions. This is just us having an authentic conversation.
Yeah.
That's allowed me to really get to know the people, allowed me to introduce friends of mine. Like I've had really good friends of mine. So one of the guests I had on is Jim Rohn's business partner. So Jim Rohn is part of my mentor tree. So Jim Rohn mentored my mentor, Melvin Turner Sr., and Melvin Turner Sr. mentored Jim Rohn in public speaking. So like, that's my pedigree.
Wow.
So I had him. I had my mentor was the first episode, and really, we could have went for 5 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's like an hour and a half, but we could have went for as long as we wanted, and everyone would be entertained. I've been very fortunate with people just stepping up and saying, yes, I would come on your podcast. The law of attraction coach that I said, I reached out thinking, hey, how do I get a hold of you for a podcast? 6 months, a year. Like, I did not feel like my podcast was worthy. And she was like, how about if I come on in 2.5 weeks? Does that sound like good? What? Like, as you know, in the podcast world, man, you just never know. You have to ask.
Yeah.
And as a Jim Rohn, mentoree, the biggest thing is asking. You have to ask to receive. And if people aren't familiar with Jim Rohn, like, please Google him, and you're going to be blown away. I feel like he's one of the top motivational speakers of all time.
Yeah.
Well,
your entertainment quote took me back to Gladiator. You know, are you not entertained?
Yeah. You know what's funny is through this like year and a half, I haven't really watched a lot of TV. I haven't really watched a lot of sports. I've really slid back and just been like reading audiobooks, but also just, what do I want? Being in my awareness. Yeah. And I noticed that there was like a Gladiator 2, and I don't know when that came out, but I was like, oh, really? I haven't watched that. But that's the thing is like, those things are not important to me. If you ask me like what happened in the NBA last night, I have no clue. But if you'd ask me like, well, I was in the other part of the journey, man, I would know everything. Stats, those things aren't important to me anymore. Yeah. And I think that's the other part is like, we're seeing an evolution of myself in a year and a half, but we're also seeing this evolution, like quantum speed. Like, you know, people were like, you don't watch sports? No. Do you go to high school games? No, I don't go to high school games anymore. Like, I just don't, I enjoy it, but it's not my priority. My priorities are the things that I want to do and the things I put my time toward.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that's all part of that mindset shift. You know, like you shifted your mindset in order to focus on the things you want to prioritize on. You kind of left behind the things that Dwayne used to, you know, do and used to love and everything like that. But now you have different priorities and you want to focus on those more so than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good, man.
Yeah, it's great. Me and just touching on the podcast thing real quick. Me and Russ say the same thing all the time. It's like, how do we get this person on? Do we just message them? Do we email them? It's like, it's amazing. And I show a ton of gratitude to everybody who's come on this show. It's, you know, same as you, Dwayne, like, you know, and Russ always says, you got to ask, you got to try, you got to ask, you know,
because the answer is always no if you don't.
Well, if you don't ask.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, it's interesting. The people that I've like found out that I was connected to that I really didn't even know. Just when I did the podcast, they were like, hey, you should ask this person. You know, people ask me what one of my favorite podcasts is. And it's actually me and my friend, my high school friend, but one of my really best friends, man, we had on, he did not understand his resilience story of being a single parent and being an athletic trainer and getting to that athletic trainer. But we in high school, man, we graduated. We didn't know what we wanted to do. We were just like, we want to go to college and that's it. Like we wanted to play wiffle ball and play basketball. Like, we had no idea.
You're my kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, we just had no idea, man. But it was so beautiful being able to talk to him. But when I reached out, he was like, he had just won athletic trainer of the year here in Kentucky. And he was like, is that the reason you're having me on? I was like, no, man. I was like, you have a hell of a resilient story. And I just talked to him and we talked about it. And when I had the podcast, man, there's so much gratitude both ways, how much of an effect he had on me, how much effect on him. And we really hadn't had that conversation. So that's another thing was like the May month of mental health for men was like a really big deal. Like it allowed me to really step up, tell what I've been going through, but also be able to know how to connect to other men and be like, hey, we can talk about sports and stuff, but also, man, like there's some struggle stuff that other men deal with. And so let's just be vulnerable, be transparent. And let's just talk about that type of stuff. If you're open, and a lot of people are open to it, they just don't realize that there's an audience and people want to really hear it. And so that was one of my favorite podcasts to record it with him. And, you know, he's one of my biggest supporters, but he's one of my best friends. So, I mean, I think that's the other aspect is just being grateful to be like, oh man, I've been surrounded by this guy since I was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You know, you had mentioned Jim Valvano a little while ago. And you know, if you remember, you know, with his cancer, he was late in his life on the ESPYs to give a speech.
Yeah.
And he was in no way, shape, or form able to do that, but he mustered up the strength. Dick Vitale, I believe, was the one that helped him up I think there was like 10 stairs up to the stage. So he gets up there, he delivers this powerful message to people. And he said there's three things in life that if we did these things every day, it would be a great day. And he said if we could laugh every day, if we could cry every day, and if we could think every day, right? And, you know, you come across to me as a deep thinker. So I think that one is not a problem. But can you take those three and apply them into life today, not only for yourself, but for listeners today about thinking, laughing, and crying?
Yeah. So it's a great question. It's also the crying part has been a very difficult situation because I've put that down. So like I haven't wept through this. And that's always intrigued me. Like there's got to be this outbreak of weeping. So that's why I claim I'm healed, but I know there's still this part of me that like really needs to like step up. The laugh part, I'm surrounded by funny people. I'm humorous. I'm also like very sarcastic, and I'm around some really. My brother's extremely humorous, stupid, funny. So I get that. I get that a lot, you know, growing up and stuff. So, you know, he's that dude that knows all the quotes to Will Ferrell movies and Adam Sandler. And, you know, he can just bust out that stuff. I am not blessed with that. Like, I am not blessed with movie quote stuff. Like, I know a few things, but like, I can't perform it like that. And the reason I'm saying that is sometimes, man, I have videos of like things that he says when I feel like, hey, I just need to laugh. Also, I'm blessed with my niece, my little niece, and there's some funny things that they say that have been recorded, and I watch old basketball games of the little one or the oldest one, just to kind of get me into that space of being grateful, but also being able to see their growth. The being happy is the struggle because I have to figure out what makes me happy. And so those are goals of mine that a lot of people have already figured out. And that's one of the things that like I'm figuring out, but that speech had super impact on me. And when Coach Meyer got like that Jimmy V award, I believe, I'm not really sure what the award is, but like I have his book like right here. Like it's always near me to just be able to take that title and really be able to see of like how lucky you can be. Like, think about that. How lucky are we to just wake up? That was the other part of being grateful from earlier. I was just happy to be able to not be on that part of life, to be, you know, like I'm here. And so that's where my gratitude started. So the people who are struggling with gratitude, that's the first step. You're still here. Yeah. So the laugh, cry, and then think. Yeah, I'm a thinker. I've always been a thinker. And so
I can tell.
It's just always been there, man. It's always just something of just being able to say, oh, like, what if this happened and this happened? What if these animals like cross-pollinated and like we had this dinosaur cat? Look, that's how my brain works.
Well, you know, you mentioned your brother, Stupid Funny, right? And it is, you know, we're coming up. Don't forget about Thanksgiving, but we're coming up on Christmas. A lot of people have already got trees up and decorations and everything. And one of my favorite Stupid Funny movies is The Grinch with Jim Carrey. And that guy can make me laugh. Well, I just celebrated a birthday just a couple of days ago. And so I'm talking to my oldest daughter in Connecticut. She's got 3 boys, and the youngest is 3. And so they're coming back from church. They're in the car. They're FaceTiming. So they're like, happy birthday, G-Dog, you know. And I said, hey, sing me my favorite, which I always sing to them, sing my favorite, you know, birthday song. And the 2 oldest boys, who are 8 and 6, you know, they're reading something or whatever. So they're not entertained, and they don't want to entertain me. But the 3-year-old who doesn't speak well, he he took me back to the Grinch, because the Grinch in that movie, he's like, la hoo ha hoo he. And so when my grandson started singing me, he sounded just like Jim Carrey in the Grinch, just like that. And I was busting up on this. Of course, he has no idea why I'm laughing, but it was so comical, that I just had a laugh. So my daughter called me last night and we were talking. And I said, that was so funny. It made me laugh, So all that to say, go watch The Grinch and laugh this Christmas.
That's it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean,
Good pitch for Jim Carrey.
Mine would be the Christmas vacation movie.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's
too.
always played. That's always played.
Yep.
And then the Snoopy Christmas. Like, I know it's more serious, but as an adult, it hits harder.
Yes.
So and then me and my brother, we started a tradition when I was like, I don't know, 10 maybe, of watching the Donald Duck and the Young Ducks, like in a snowball war.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
Yes. And we got that for Christmas, and we just like made that Christmas tradition. So I always watch that too. But those are like all the three things. But man, I remember watching the Christmas Vacation movie in the theaters, and I think I went and saw it like 4 or 5 times. Like the next day, it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It's great in that movie.
The duck snowball fight reminds me of the Elf, when they had that snowball fight with the kids up on the bridge. And he's like, poop, 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 poop.
Yeah,
exactly.
Dwayne,
so I always like to ask this question. Show up to win is your mindset, your brand. And years from now, people are going to look at it and say, hey, that's Dwayne Morton's brand. What legacy do you want to leave with that brand? What is something you want the future people to hear from you, see from it, and learn from?
Man, that's the thing, man, is it's the legacy piece. I want people to know that, like, I care enough to do the things that, like, I was not comfortable doing. So, like, I live in what, I think a lot of people, we just want to be in our comfort area. Then we, very uncomfortable, did not want to be a speaker, like, did not want to do podcasts, like, but I knew that I could help people. And so to support people, I was willing to go outside of my comfort zone. And I like to call it my learning zone. But what I found out was that was where more my gift and my talent, my skills were. I just had suppressed it. So when I was 20, I was told I was a great speaker. And I was like, no, man, I'm a basketball player. I don't want to get in front of people and motivate people for 15 minutes. Cause I looked at it more from a motivational speaker part. I didn't look from it from an inspirational speaker. So the show up to brand, I hope it's that bridge for people to realize that, like, their spark that's inside that might be ran out. There's a great analogy that I'll say to do this. Like, you can take a lighter that's lit and you can take a lighter that's not, and I can come over with a lit lighter and the flame. So that's what I hope. I hope I inspire people to light that fire in them to become their very best. And I think that's the other part of me is, like, I live every day to be my very best, and my very best yesterday is not the same as today. And that's really, I hope that's the part where Show Up to Win, where people are able to really just be like, hey man, this dude wants to be better every day. Yeah. And I hope I can instill that in people. Actually, I don't hope, it's what I pray I can do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the legacy piece. It's just inspire people and allow them to do. But also the other part is to create a better world, man. You have to create better communities. And so I hope I pray Show Up to Win is that piece to create better community here in, like, Kentucky, and it goes off to other places. But very fortunate and very grateful to have pieces like the internet, that type of thing, where, I can be an international speaker and never leave my office. I mean, we have that type of technology now.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing. And, to be kind of funny, I'm a huge Pinky and the Brain fan. So, like, I want to take over the world and just have Show Up to Win, like the bat signal. But I just think it's
Oh, that's funny.
But seriously, I just want people to be better, man. That's it. Like, I just want people to be kind, be better. But I feel like that's the step, is to get them into that mindset of like, hey, I deserve it, their value, but also see my growth throughout this thing. Because when I watched podcast 1, man, I was told I was really, it was really good. I was like, man, this is not good. And then when I see like today, I'm like very comfortable. I don't get nervous, those type of things. And, my answers might not be short, but I know what I want to portray to people, and I want people to communicate to certain people. So I think that's important. Yeah. And so, for me is, the aspiration of me is to be a great inspirational speaker, be on stages, speak to corporate leaders and things like that to really create the type of change that I want.
That's awesome.
Amazing, man. Amazing.
Well, about the 5th minute, we got a good gut laugh out of Dwayne. So that is good. So you got your laughing part in today, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a big, so here's the other part of this laughing. I'm more of those like inner laughers, like, haha, like I'm not a big, like, so to get that on camera is like, there's very few things that are like that. So it's also kind of like, I'm being vulnerable, but I'm also being super transparent, and I think that's the other piece, Russ, as you know me, like we've known each other for a year, but like my authenticity part is what draws to people and attracts. I'm just being me, man. That's it. Like, I'm not,
it comes
I'm
across.
I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. Like, I tell people that all the time is like, just be yourself. And that's what attracts. But also, if I don't feel aligned doing something, I'm just going to say no, because I'm not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yep. Powerful, man.
Well, Dwayne, you've said so many great things today, and I want to give you the opportunity to wrap up on this question, is that wellness is not about perfection, but it's about progress. And I would love for you to deep dive into that for a moment as we wrap up our podcast together with you. It has been enlightening. It's been beautiful. You are a motivator. You're an inspiration to people that are out there, and to our listeners, and to your listeners that are listening. So wellness is not about perfection, but about progress. Tell us your take on that.
I love it, because I tell people the first step you need to do is begin. Step 1 is the most important step, because if you don't do step 1, you don't do step 2, you don't do step 2000. It's just begin. And I think that's the other aspect, is you're supposed to, I don't like the word fail, but to get most people across, like, you have to fail, you have to fall to get back up. You're not supposed to be good. I am a terrible singer, terrible, but through a couple of friends of mine, because of speaking, you have to, like, it helps. So I've been messing around. Like, I would sing to my 3-year-old niece and, things like that. And I was just like, man, I'm a lot better than what I thought. And that was
they hate you for it though.
But but the aspect of it is like, I would have never gotten better if I didn't begin.
Yes.
Same thing with speaking and doing podcasts. If I never did this, I would suck at it. But we wouldn't know what the potential was.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know that, like, I enjoy podcasting way more than I enjoy basketball. I'll say that again. I enjoy podcasting way more than I enjoy basketball. And when I say that to people who know me, they understand that, like, that's a big thing. The other aspect is, how can you, like, grow if you don't begin? So that's with mindset. That's with anything. You have to start. And so know that it's going to be difficult at first, but that difficulty part comes out. I mean, but I can't sit down and just play the piano. I can't sit down and just play the guitar. I'm a really good basketball player, but guess what? When I was 4, I couldn't throw it and hit the net. Like, there has to be that spot of just being able. I mean, so I think that's the important part with people, is to realize, like, hey, if you want to do something, you have to attempt it. If you don't really attempt, like, a lot of people just say try, but I think try is just this, like, I just made a little bit of effort, but I really didn't. I wasn't in.
Yep.
Like, attempt is where I'm like, hey, I'm trying, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This was amazing. Excellent podcast. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for being on. Dwayne, where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Show Up to Win on Instagram. You know, it's one of those accounts that I just started, but also if you look back on the first post, my oldest niece is the one that created it. But I know like you guys are big IG people.
Yeah.
My website, Show Up to Win, is where you can join the wait list for the community, and then DwayneMorton.com. And then my book, The Bounce Back Blueprint Become Bulletproof, is on Amazon. You can find me those, and then probably the easiest place to find me is LinkedIn or on Facebook too. So
awesome.
Dwayne,
thank you so much, Dwayne, for today, man.
Yeah,
powerful.
Thanks for being on. That was really powerful, really inspiring. I think everybody definitely enjoyed that. The Instagram feed is blowing up right now, so I'm definitely correcting what I'm saying.
One of these days when I'm in Kentucky, I'll come sign my picture behind you.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Your initials are not MJ, just
RR.
But Russ, I just want to say this too, man, is like you inspire me by seeing the type of actions that you did, like with the book, the community things. Those are things that I want to instill and to Show Up to Win. So I appreciate you inspiring me. I think a lot of people forget to tell people what inspires them. So I did want to take that time to tell you that.
I appreciate that, man. Very, very heartfelt, man. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Please check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all social media links at Dual Coast Podcast. Dwayne Morton, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Over and out. We'll see you guys next week.